Alper Kucuk is the Deputy General and Chief International Officer at the Turkish Red Crescent, and he joins us now from Ankara. Thanks so much for being with us. I hope you can hear me. First, give us a sense of what rescue workers are actually facing right now in Izmir. You know their work intimately. What are they up against?
Thank you. I'm connecting to you from our operations center in Ankara. And from the very first minute of the disaster, our teams have deployed to the spot. And now Turkish Red Crescent has a clear role in the emergency plan, and which is mass food provision. Our role tonight will be providing sufficient food to affected populations and also rescue workers on the ground. Turkish Red Crescent already has a capacity positioned on the spot for 50,000 people, and our teams already provide these food services to rescue workers and affected populations. And so far, we have received a lot of calls from international partners, Red Cross and Red Crescent movement, from Azerbaijan to Israel, from Colombia to Pakistan. They are calling us to see if there is something they can help. Also, Iranian Red Crescent is waiting next door with their supplies loaded to see if their support will be needed. So there's a lot of international solidarity. This includes the Hellenic Red Cross standing with us during this disaster. We also proposed our assistance to them. So there's a lot of solidarity exchanges behind the scene. Our teams will, of course, spend the night outside because there is a lot of aftershocks we observe. People will have to have a fear stay outside, we understand, and that's what we usually experience in these times. And we will be providing food for them until they're safely back to their homes.
Right. It is wonderful, that sense of unity you mentioned. It is a silver lining in tragedies like this to see just humanity come together to help people in need. And you could argue right now that rescue workers and your workers are fortunate in the fact that conditions for their operations are good. You know, there was sunshine. This happened during daylight, pleasant temperatures around 21 degrees, and going forward there is no ill weather in the forecast. So do you feel good about the conditions that you're now working in and how much you'll be able to help people in Izmir?
It is, of course, always difficult, but in terms of the climate conditions, the rescue efforts, and our efforts together, the humanitarian response, it is, we can say, relatively lucky days of having it in a climate of 15 to 20 degrees. That could be more difficult, what actually we can say. We had worked in different and more difficult environments. This time, I hope the climate will allow us for a faster response, including the rescue and search efforts of our partners from AFAD and other NGOs. So hand in hand, I hope we can resolve this. We can respond to the consequences of this disaster as soon as possible, and we can get people back home safely.
Can you recall for us when you've faced similar circumstances in Turkey or elsewhere when you've had to help in a rescue operation like this with an earthquake of this size?
Yes, exactly. I mean, I probably missed the question. I couldn't get your voice, but different environments require different type of responses. For example, one earthquake, I remember, was more and more difficult in terms of climate conditions. But this time, Izmir climate, that's the only advantage I can brief. Otherwise, rescue efforts are always challenging.
Right. No, I was asking, you know, when you'd faced circumstances like this before, just as far as the rescue operation is concerned. But let me ask you another question. Ideally, what do you want to see in place before earthquakes actually strike? What kind of preparedness makes your job easier and, you know, much less traumatic, really, for rescue workers themselves?
Of course, it is about having community-based disaster awareness and preparedness awareness. That's what we are actually in terms of our general activities. We start from the primary schools to universities to increase the knowledge about disaster response and disaster preparedness. So self-awareness and knowing what to do in these times of disasters saves a lot of lives. And that starts with training of people and awareness And of course, the infrastructure, that's also one of the most important things in terms of how we will see a damage in front of us. But people knowing what to do is one of the critical elements. And it's always the community who helps first before others come. So that's important for us, and we heavily work on this area to have community-based migration, community-based disaster response. That's a critical one, and we know that's why we heavily invest in this area. It's important for people to know what they do in these times, and for others to know how they help others, because search and rescue will take some time to go. So that's what I can say. Before disasters, we can prepare ourselves, we can prepare our families, and we can prepare our relatives, and we can inform our friends about what to do in these times.
Okay, Alper, Kucuk, we'll let you get back to your very important work. Thank you so much for speaking to us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.